Hi, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining today. We're going to be chatting all about spring gardening. So, a little bit of everything. So, we'll talk about cool season crops and maybe some warm season, what to do if you have a last minute frost, all sorts of stuff. But I'm excited to sit here and chat with you all again this week. It's super fun joining you guys all the time. And welcome. I see everybody here in the chat. Hello. I'm here in Oklahoma in zone 7. It is actually a gorgeous day today. I probably should have done this live stream from outside. I don't know why I didn't. I always say that. Oh, you know what? I just saw that. I'll I will work on that, and I will try to get captions on for next week. I'm sure there's a way that I can turn them on, so I will into it for next week. So um welcome everybody. I see Smart Pots is in there. Hi, Smart Pots. Yeah, they are right next to us here in Oklahoma City. And oh, it is 68. That's exactly what my watch says too. Wow. Yeah, it's a beautiful day outside. And after this is going to inspire me to get out and start growing in my garden. I have been working on getting everything cleaned out and ready to go. And now I need to go out there and plant. I always feel like I'm behind. I talk to you guys and I get inspired. You guys inspire me too whenever we're talking. So thank you all. Um, Welcome for those of you joining in for the first time. I'm so glad you're able to join. My name's Carrie. My husband Dale and I are the creators of the From Seed to Spoon app. We started gardening back in 2015, and I mean it's been a while. It's been a wild journey. Let's see. Let me pull up a picture here. This is whenever we first started. We had just a normal Oklahoma backyard, and then over the course of a couple years with our family, we turned our entire backyard over into raised beds and gardens and whole bunch of food, whole bunch of flowers. And throughout the course of that, we were like, there really needs to be an app for that. And then Dale learned how to code. He taught himself how to do it. It was incredible. And so him, along with a couple friends, the Seed to Spoon app was born. So we use it in our garden every single day. I mean, honestly, like I am probably on it every single day myself because I'm logging my plants. I'm seeing what I can grow out in my garden. I'm going into GrowBot and seeing what's wrong with my plants. What can I do with this? Yeah, so many things. But anyways, that's just a little bit of who I am, and welcome everybody. And before I forget to make sure you all are posting in the comment section into the chat. And that's all you need to do to be entered in to win a free 1-year premium Seed to Spoon app subscription. So could be you. I will announce that winner at the very end of this live stream. We also do another giveaway too for those people that weren't able to join us live. Like, I am very sorry for you, but for those people, we still wanted to make sure we did a giveaway too. So for whenever I press, end up here and it posts, you can go back in, leave a comment, and then next week we will announce the winner from afterwards as well. So drum roll, please. I'm going to announce the winner really quick from last week. So I pulled this. Congratulations, Liz Cromwell. Her comment from last week, she says, "Hi, Carrie, with the small kitchen varieties, can you start the seed on the 1 gallon or do you need to start in the biodome?" So last week we were talking all about tomatoes, and I shared a little bit about my tomatoes that I have, and I actually have. See, I'd grab it, but it's on my windowsill, but it's like down a little bit further. I have mine right there growing in a 1 gallon smart pot. So it is thriving. I was actually just watering it right before this live stream. I was going through and watering everything. And it is doing amazing. It is not giving me tomatoes yet because this is a brand new one that I'm just growing. It's a patio choice tomato. But to answer her question real quick, for Liz, whenever I start these varieties out, I always start them in the biodome. Also, they're just so much easier to sprout and get started. These are the biodomes back here. So I do a lot of my seed starting right here in my kitchen, actually, and I do some out in the garage as well too. For the tomatoes and peppers, I typically do those on a heat mat though. So these ones right here, that like even the kitchen minis and things I'm going to be growing in indoors, I do those on a heat mat in the biodome, and then I'll transplant them into a 1 gallon smart pot and put them on my windowsill. It's amazing. So congratulations, Liz. Like I said, we'll have another winner too at the very end. And so continue to go through and comment. And I do apologize. It is just me today. So I am manning the comments as well as talking to you all. So wish me luck. And that being said, I apologize if I miss anybody's question or comment or anything like that. So I am going to do my best to pop in here and put the questions up as I see them or star them so I can come back to them and all of that. So I promise I'm not ignoring you. I'm doing my best. so, here, so I saw a quick question right here. So, do you have extra lighting in your biodome? So, yes, I do. So, I have these biodomes in here, which I have a couple of grow lights that are mounted above each one. And then in my garage, I have some, let me see, I think I have a picture actually of our garage growing area saved in here. I do. Yay. So this is one of our sections in the garage that we have. I have like two big areas, one for bootstrap trays and one for the biodomes, but it's set up exactly the same. And I hang these LED shop lights right here, right above the seeds. So that way they do get some extra light, especially in the garage. They need a lot. But here I have some extra grow lights here in this rack as well. Okay. So here we go. Let's get started. So, like I said, I already told you all that all you need to do is comment to win, and you will be entered in to win the 1-year premium app subscription, and we will announce that winner at the very end. Okay. So, first of all, I do want to say I love growing in spring. I mean, first of all, who doesn't? Because it is just it's the perfect time. You have been inside all winter long, and it is now starting to get warm out. It's beautiful. So, the temperatures are incredible. They're perfect. So, it's not too hot, not too cold. So, you have the perfect temperatures out there. And so, you can get out there, work in your garden, and all that. But also there's less pests too. So I do feel like towards the end of spring, you're going to get a lot, but in the very beginning, whenever you're first starting out, it's going to take them a while to find you. So it is a amazing time to grow and to get started because there's so many things you can do. It was great. Okay, I do see some real questions. So I'll share these real quick. So we are in zone 7 in Oklahoma City. But everything that we're going to talk about today will be good for it'll be good for everywhere that you all are. Some people may have to start things a little bit later than what we are currently going to be doing, but the Seed to Spoon app right here. Oh, on this side. I always point the wrong direction. So over here, I have some screenshots showing too. So in the Seed to Spoon app right here, it'll have the Plant Now, which will show you all of the things that you can plant in your area. So this is all customized for you in your location. So it'll calculate out the exact planting dates for you based on your closest weather station and their data that they give back. So you can go through, there's a lot of different ways that you can see that. You can see it on the plant details screen as well. If you want to just check out like one plant and see when you can plant that one plant, it'll show you that too. But I do want to point out that that all of this is customized for your location. So if you ever wonder to when you can plant in your location, just pull up the Seed to Spoon app. So that was one of the biggest reason why we grew it ourselves. Why grew it? Why we created the Seed to Spoon app ourselves. Okay. So we get this question all the time about should you direct sow your seeds or transplant, start them indoors? When should you do what? So I do want to talk about this for a minute and let you know too that it is, I mean, it's all personal preference as well, but there are a few things that we will always direct sow, regardless. So things like that include peas. We always have much better luck direct sowing peas, same as root crops. We will always do some root crops directly into the ground. And they just don't transplant as well. So we don't ever start any of those from seed indoors. We'll just start them directly by seed outdoors. So things that I will transplant is the things I actually have growing back here. So right here I have, this is an entire biodome. I actually started with you guys probably like a month ago now or so, but they are getting big. I need to either get them up potted or get them outside. But I have a bunch of broccoli and cauliflower and cabbage and all of that right here. And those are types of things that I generally will transplant outdoors just because I like to get a head start on them. And here in zone 7, it does tend to get hot really fast. This is a great question. So what do you do if none of your direct sow seeds come up? So whenever, I mean, I will be continually going through and planting, like, because there's been years that, like, especially I think last year I had really bad luck with peas whenever I did my peas, but I went through and I put a pea on each spot that I wanted one, and then when I came back I saw that like 2 of them had sprouted, so I was like, okay. I gave it another day and still, so I just did it again. So I am really just always succession planting. I mean, just because I direct sow, I don't always get 100% luck. It is more difficult, I would say. I mean, not more difficult. It's more finicky because you can't watch it like a hawk and baby them like you can inside. So you have to make sure that your seeds are staying moist when they're out there. Some things that I do to make sure that they stay moist, especially for things like carrots, because carrots can take a while to germinate. So whenever I go through and direct seed these, I'll cover them. Well, first I'll do it and then I'll give them a good watering in. I'll lay some burlap over top of it and then water that burlap in as well. And that will help to keep the soil more moist for longer, and also will just, it protects the seeds. And I'll go out there, I'll keep checking, I will water it still if it needs watering, but then once they start to sprout, I'll remove that burlap. But that'll just help to just keep the soil a lot moister whenever you are trying to germinate seeds, because some of them especially can be finicky whenever you are direct seeding, but you definitely want to do that for several of them. Oh, I do see. Arthur says, nice picture of a seating square. Yes, I absolutely love this seating square. We use it all the time whenever we are planting out things that we want to be like more uniform, or if we want a bed to look really nice. It makes it so easy to do square foot gardening. I absolutely love it. And the kids love playing with them. And I tell them, okay, put one seed in every red hole. So they go through and like drop it through. It's amazing. So we use this especially for things that are like carrots that are like 16 per square. And it's just hard to visualize that sometimes. So having this can really be helpful, especially whenever you're direct seeding outdoors and you want things to look nice. So I love it. Okay. And as we go through, I'm gonna call out a few next here of our favorite cool season crops that we are going to be growing right now this spring. And I'll let you guys know if we're going to be direct seeding or transplanting and all of that. So first, leafy greens. This is one that I am probably the most excited about because I love having fresh greens and salads and wraps and all of that. I can't wait. So, I mean, this includes like lettuce, kale, spinach, all of those. So, I did start some lettuces indoors in my biodome, but these are ones that I typically, whenever I start them indoors, I'm growing them for either a specific location or something like that. So the ones that I started indoors, I put into our growing tower that we have, and it just these sponges, these biosponges, just make for perfect transplanting, and it is so easy to just pop them into the growing tower, and it grows really well. So that's one reason why I do transplant these. But for the most part, whenever I'm growing in raised beds or growing in smart pots, like in this picture right here, I I really just go out there and direct sow a lot of greens. And now is the perfect time for me here in zone 7. And I don't know about where you guys are. I know everywhere is completely different, but it is going to be time for you soon, if not already. So, all of your leafy greens, it is time for some fresh salads. Yay! And then also brassicas. So, these brassicas, again, I pointed out we have these right up here. These are going to be ones that I'm going to be transplanting. Now, there are a couple of special occasions that I will direct seed outdoors for brassicas, but it's pretty rare because I like to get a head start on most all of them. So the one right here, so this is a kohlrabi, which is one of my favorite brassicas. If you guys know me at all, you know that I'm always talking about kohlrabi because it is just one of the plants I love to grow. It's so fun looking. The entire plant, like that entire plant right there, is edible. It's incredible. I love it. And it has like a broccoli taste to it too. So it's great on all fronts for me. And it's also a super fast grower too, which is why that is one of the brassicas that I do direct seed a lot of too, because you can get a harvest from them sometimes within like a month or two. So they're super fast growing. These brassicas are ones that I will definitely be direct seeding as well. And I like to do kind of like succession planting too. So I do start some indoors, then I'll start some outdoors, and then a couple weeks later, I'll do some more. So that way I always have some ready to harvest pretty much. And I don't have all of them at like the same time ready to harvest. So that is one of the reasons why I would go with direct seeding some brassicas. There's also like some sprouting broccolis that are really fast to harvest. And those ones are really good ones too to direct seed. So if you did not start indoors, which I know not everybody has time or the capability to start seeds indoors, you can definitely still do a few of the faster growing like sprouting broccoli and kohlrabi and things like that outdoors and direct seed them. So you can definitely do that. Do you make soup from your kohlrabi? So typically that sounds amazing. I never have, but I will definitely try it. Typically what we do with it, I mean, I use it just like broccoli. So we will just chop it up, add it to like a stir fry, and that's honestly one of my favorite meals. And then we also too sometimes just chop it up, pop it in the air fryer, put a little bit of cheese on top of it, and the kids all think it's amazing because it just tastes like broccoli cheese, you know. Um, so that's what I was. That's probably one of my favorites. Oh, great. Robin's growing kohlrabi for the first time this year. Good luck. It is amazing, and I hope you love it as much as I do. It's terrific. Oh, Charlotte says, I love eating the greens off of the kohlrabi. Yeah, it's amazing. I love the fact that, like, the entire plant is edible. So you can eat the little ball. We usually just chop it up, dice it up. You can eat the leaves. I mean, it's such an amazing plant. So hopefully we've talked you all into trying kohlrabi this year. You definitely should. Oh, here. Yeah, that's a great question. So, can you explain what a sprouting broccoli is? So, there are different types of broccoli, and there's the sprouting broccoli. Well, there's the traditional broccoli, which will give you like that giant head of broccoli that you're used to growing. The sprouting broccoli is more like, yeah, if y'all haven't noticed, Dale has now my lovely assistant popping things up for me. So thank you. so this asparbrog right here is one of our favorite sprouting broccoli. So you can kind of see in that picture right there how it has like these little tiny I mean it's not little tiny, but it's more just like little offshoots of broccoli. Which honestly I prefer myself because it is easier to harvest, easier to eat. I don't have to chop all of it up. Like I just prefer that over the large traditional head of broccoli because it just never fails that something happens to it. We get a large hailstorm or I prefer to just do things as simple as possible, and I just feel like sprouting broccolis are always successful for me. So yeah. And definitely root crops. So, root crops, like I said earlier, are one that I will always direct seed. So, no matter where you are, I will recommend direct seeding your root crops. So, things like radish and beets and turnips and carrots, all of those are ideal to be planted outside. And I will say too, if you that seeding square definitely helps for these root crops that I showed you all earlier, because a lot of these root crops you can plant pretty dense, and also with like carrots too. Those seeds are really small, so we always use what's called the So Effortless growing tape. It makes it super simple. I literally just take like a piece of tape and pop it down and put it into the soil. And it just makes planting so much simpler. It was funny. We actually did this because I was running out of time last fall to plant, and I had forgotten that we're like, oh, we have some seed tape. Let's just go toss it into the garden real quick. And then I was cleaning out the garden just like a week or two ago, and we're like, I completely forgot that we did that. And we found like all these amazing, beautiful rainbow carrots. And we're like, oh, this is great. So they had just been hanging out all winter long. So, I mean, they're really resilient, I would say, easy to grow. Um, you can typically squeeze these root crops into a lot of small spaces, and especially like radish, they are a very good companion plant for a lot of your other plants that you're going to be growing as well too. So I always recommend growing a lot of root crops, and yeah. Oh, yep, that is the seed tape that I was talking about. Yeah, that stuff's really good. I love it. We It just makes planting so much simpler. And springtime is the perfect time to plant out all of your herbs. So there's a lot of different herbs that will thrive for you right now. Cilantro is one that I always recommend getting out while it's still cool because it does not like the heat. Now there are some cilantro that is like heat resistant, but still like the temperatures here in Oklahoma, it doesn't tend to last into the summer, but I can do my best with extending the growing life as much as I can, giving it a little bit of shade and all of that. But cilantro is definitely one that I recommend getting out as soon as you can. Dill is another amazing herb to grow as well for this time of year because it will help once it starts getting a little older. Like it'll bring in a lot of different pollinators. It's an amazing companion plant. Like pretty much all of the herbs are amazing companion plants. What I mean, like it's just they're super beneficial. They will bring in a lot of pollinators, and they'll also help to repel pests away from certain plants too because of their strong smells. Like typically they're very, very strong smelling, so they'll help to repel a lot of different pests. So I always say you can never have enough herbs in your garden, and a lot of herbs are perennial too. So if you haven't grown your herbs or before, definitely give it a try. Now, some herbs are better started by seed, and some are better by like propagating or transplanting. Um, Now, cilantro, parsley, dill, all of those are great by seed. I've even grown thyme before from seed. There was a So Effortless seed mat from Park Seed that I tried out, and the thyme actually grew really well. I was like, wow, that's terrific. Um, but things like rosemary and oregano, things like that, like we typically go through and do like transplants, or we're propagating herbs and all of that. Okay, is hybrid safe? I never use. I love organic. So I personally go with a lot of different hybrids have been around for a long, long time. It doesn't necessarily mean anything bad. It just means they didn't like do anything horrible. They're just literally fertilizing like from two different plants. So it's the biggest issue is that if you do want to save seeds, and you won't know which variety you're going to get because it's just a cross between two different varieties that they're pollinating from. So whenever you're harvesting seeds at the end, you may not want to keep them, but yes, I mean hybrid is definitely safe for sure. Yeah, it's not genetically modified or anything like that. Oh yes, so flowers. Some of my favorite flowers to grow for the cool season is, of course, this beautiful picture. Pansies and violas are so amazing. They're beautiful. And calendula is another one of my very favorites. Snapdragons, all of those are really good cool season flowers. And you can also be getting a head start on a lot of your other flowers indoors. I mean, I feel like right now you can pretty much start everything either indoors or outdoors, wherever you are. Um, so it's really the perfect time to be thinking about gardening because if you want to grow it, you probably can. And yeah, so these marigold seeds right here too. It is definitely time to get those started indoors, though, for me here in Zone 7. But some places you can get them out. And I absolutely am a huge fan of marigold. They're an amazing companion plant. Again, I pretty much all of my flowers that I grow have a purpose in the garden. So they're either helping to bring in pollinators, or they're helping to protect my plants or repel certain pests, things like that. And marigold is one that is amazing. Oh, yes, look at this. The butterfly lovers seed collection. You can't go wrong with that one. They bring in so many butterflies, especially those zinnias. Oh man, yeah, I'm super excited. As you can tell, it is definitely getting me motivated to go outside. Like I told you it would whenever we first started this. And peas, of course. So I did mention briefly earlier peas and how I always will direct seed these. And they just always tend to do a lot better. They don't transplant well for me. So we've just always direct seeded them outdoors. And yeah, I pop them next to an area along a trellis because these do tend to climb. They do need a lot of space to grow. And I will give them a lot of space and some water, and yeah, voila. Usually, from one pea plant, you can get a whole bunch of peas, which is incredible. So, it's something that I always recommend for people to grow, especially for beginners, because it's one that you get a lot of success from one plant. So, it's just something that's just amazing to always have. And the kids, like, the kids will just go out there and just eat all of them, and we barely get them indoors ever, but that's fine. I'm happy with that. And now is the perfect time to be direct seeding for here in zone 7. So hopefully I will get outside right after this, and I'm going to start some peas and some lettuce probably too. Okay. So I wanted to touch on this too. So especially here in Oklahoma, it never fails that we have like this fall spring and everybody gets so excited because the temperatures are so nice. It's been nice for a week or two. I can go plant everything outside. And then you get a last minute cold snap, whether you get snow, ice, or just really cold temperatures suddenly. Um, it just never seems to fail. So I did want to touch a little bit on how to protect. So now that we have these, so in the middle of that picture right there, you can kind of see what we have now for our wooden raised beds. It's just these DIY PVC dome hoop houses. It's all made out of PVC, and we just have some plastic sheeting over top. So it really helps to protect those plants underneath. I've done like temperature guns. I taken a temperature gun out there and tested the temperature of soil next to it versus inside. And I mean, it is night and day difference for those plants that you have in there. So this is definitely something that's amazing. But that being said, I know not everybody has the capability or wants to do something along those lines. So there's other things that you can do. Now, I do have a picture on the very end. This is just a 5-gallon water bucket. So we cut the very bottom of that off right there and then just placed it over top of a pepper plant is where that one is. So a lot of times we will try to push planting some peppers and tomatoes maybe a little bit earlier than we should. But sometimes it works out terrific for us. Sometimes not so much, but we just have to grow as many as we can. And but having this it's a really small way to help protect a couple plants, and you would be surprised at how much that helps. And if you keep that on it whenever it gets warmer the next day or the next day after that, you will hurt your plant if you keep it on because it will make it super hot in there. So it works very well. So that's terrific, right? So just repurposing things like that. You can use like the milk jugs, things like that if you don't have quite as large of a plant. But there's just easy ways to cover your plants in for protection from a cold snap. We've done this too if we have like hail coming in too, like a big spring storm. Never fails here in Oklahoma. We do a lot of doing things like that as well for like my one-off plants. I'm like, oh, I need to protect this. And I'm lucky that I have a lot of things in smart pots that I can just pick up and move and bring them inside. So that's terrific. But for the things that I can't, I'll cover them. And then I also do like these floating row covers sometimes too, where you can literally just throw something over top, or you can throw if you are super, super like last minute, throw a sheet over top of something. I mean, really just something to try to help protect it from a last minute frost can help. Okay. Yay. Well, I know I covered a lot of things there super fast. So I know we had some questions start to come through. Started so many flowers from seed this year. That's awesome. Yeah, I did. I know we planted these pansies right here together too, not too long ago. And I'm slowly but surely getting all of my flowers going. It's very exciting. I love it. Great question from Kathleen. So do you direct sow nasturtium? So I actually started my nasturtium indoors. I try to do the things that I really want to use. So like the nasturtium, calendula, and marigolds, especially. Like those three, I use a lot for companion planting. So whenever I am growing those, I try to grow them indoors. So that way, whenever I'm transplanting out my tomatoes or peppers or whatever I'm growing next to these for their benefits, so that way I can have a plant that is ready to go. Um, so that's typically my reasoning for doing it, but you can definitely just direct sow as well. Just make sure you keep the soil moist. Okay. Oh, this is a great question. I remember you grew loofah last year. Was it successful? It was. Um, oh man. Hey, you want to grab my loofah sponge?
Great.
It's in Ryan's room. It's sitting right in there. I have several of them, but I have one that I know exactly where it is because I was just harvesting the seeds from in between it. But I grew this over top of our cattle panel arch trellis. Thank you. And yeah, look at this. It's awesome. I love it. So you can grow these and these will take over. Loofah is a huge plant and it was incredible. Yeah, look at this. This is just one of the loofah sponges that I got from it. And I need to like go through and like chop it still. So that way I get like sponges that I can use in like the kitchen, bathroom, wherever I want to. So I love having those. But yes, I am always going to be growing loofah because it's one of those that is just so much fun to grow and it's very unique and I love having the sponges. I haven't tried eating the loofah yet myself. I know it's supposed to be just like squashes, but I'm always just so excited to have the loofah sponges that I never want to do anything to hurt the fact that I'm going to get some sponges. Okay. Oh, here we go. What is the trick to germinating lavender? So, Melissa, I will tell you that lavender is very difficult. I feel you there. But what I have done is I start all of them in the biodome. So, last year I tried doing some in trays that were not in the biodome. They didn't do so well just because it doesn't stay as moist. It just doesn't tend to work as well for me. But whenever I started them in the biodome, voila, it was perfect. So I always recommend if you have any sort of seeds that are difficult to germinate, save your biodome for those because it is totally worth it. And yeah, that's what you will need to grow. Oh, I see some people have loofah tastes good. Yeah, nice. Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna try it. And they do. They have these big, beautiful yellow flowers. I love it. Yeah, so it was so funny. Uh, I had the vine growing along my cattle panel trellis, and I had a willow tree. I have a willow tree that's like right next to it, not too far. And somehow the loofah vine found its way to the willow tree too, and it started blooming up there. And I was like, why are there flowers on my willow tree? I was so confused. But I was like, oh, that's funny. So I had like these loofah sponges hanging from my willow tree too. So I'm excited to see all that. Yes, you definitely need to because it is so much fun. If you have enough space to grow them, because they definitely will take up a lot of space for sure. Okay, let's see what other. Okay, so Angel says, question: a lot of companions listed with cool season veggies are warm season plants. How do you integrate them with cool season veggies? So typically, I mean, I can't think of an example right now, but a lot of, I mean, probably like cilantro would be a good example, is probably a good companion for a lot of different warm season plants. But it is one that I typically will just try to give it a lot of shade. But again, like It is a companion to it, probably because it will give it some extra shade and will help it to extend its life a little bit. And in return, the cilantro will help to repel some pests and all of that. But it's usually like a um, mutually beneficial relationship right there that they have. But typically, like, I mean, it's not that I'm planting them at the same time, but it's that where my cool season veggies are, I will plant those warm season ones nearby whenever it's time for those. And I will have them together for as long as I can until the cool season ones say, no, can't do it anymore. Okay. Oh, man. Is there anything I can do now to limit the June bugs this year? My chickens have been enjoying searching for grub. Well, that's terrific right there to have the chickens to help. So, I mean, really, what you need to do is lay down milky spore, because that's a bacteria that's going to really help in the soil. But typically, that is best put down in the fall time. Um, I mean, right now you're kind of doing the best thing that you possibly can is having your chickens go through. But just keep in mind for fall time, get that milky spore, and that will really help to eliminate your June bug problem. Um, all right, here we go. Oh, is the lettuce here? Let me pull, see if I can pull up. So let's see if I can guess which. I guessed wrong. Okay, here we go. So I'm assuming you were talking about this bed right here. So right here, this is actually a smart pot long bed, which is it's kind of like almost like a rectangular bed. So it's a bunch of different containers like together. So there's like a little piece of fabric in between each one. So they are like separate growing spaces, but it's all together. So it makes for the perfect place to put like up against a trellis or a fence or anything like that. Like I love these. They work perfect. So that is just in like an extended one of the Smart Pot long beds. Okay. I am bottom watering. Is that going to prevent sprouting? So I wouldn't say so. I mean, as long as the top is getting moist whenever you are still sprouting your seeds, you should be fine. Because I will bottom water like all of my seed trays and things like that whenever they're going in. I have like like humidity domes and things like that. But even with like the smart pots, like it soaks up the water really well. The best thing to get rid of aphids and keep them away. Okay. The very best thing is ladybugs. They are your lifesaver when it comes to getting rid of aphids. And I really want ladybugs inside my house for the seed starting area. Like, I wish I could just have ladybugs right there too. Because I am battling some aphids over here right now. But really, the best thing you can do outdoors is to encourage ladybugs 100%. There's also, if you're dealing with them indoors like I am, there are like organic insecticidal sprays that you can use. You can always use neem oil. But honestly, like a lot of what I do is just simply like spraying them off. And if you do that a couple times, typically like you'll be good. But I know it's kind of annoying to have to go back, but just keep spraying them off and they'll get the hint. They're not super strong. They can't keep climbing typically. Okay, so question. I'm using the biodome for the first time. I noticed that the sprouts are fuzzy when they come up. Is that normal? They started coming up in less than 48 hours. It's been since Saturday night. So typically, so it sounds like you're just seeing the roots coming up, which is terrific. Which whenever I'm doing like microgreens and all that, whenever we first started and we were seeing like fuzz, I was like, oh no, are we getting mold already? But no, it does look like that sometimes. but it is most likely just those seeds that are sprouting and developing roots. Yes, this is a terrific tip. Be sure to know what baby ladybugs look like so you aren't killing them. They are, oh man, I wish I had a great picture. We need to do a pest one here soon because I have a really great picture of a ladybug larva, but we'll do a pest one here soon. But they definitely like they're described as like alligator looking. So you all need to look up what baby ladybugs look like because baby ladybugs are your best friend in the garden. They will go through and eat so many aphids. They are amazing to have around. So that is a terrific tip. Thank you, Karma. Okay. So Carol says, my hubs doesn't eat lettuce. I like a little lettuce each day. Is it okay to just trim off what I want that day? Will it keep growing through the season without getting bitter? So, I mean, absolutely. You can just trim off whatever you want that day. Like that's what I typically do is I'll go out and I'll harvest what I want and what I'm going to eat and then just go back the next day and get what I want again. It'll keep growing and tasting really good until it gets too hot. That's where you're thinking the bitter taste. So unless it is getting a little too hot out, you should be good and you won't have any impact on your flavor at all. Okay. Oh, so Jackie says, do you have a recommended source for sweet potato slips? I do. It's Park Seed, of course, is where I'm going to always recommend, but there is a specific sweet potato. Um, it was like Carolina Jets, I want to say, is what it was called. They grew the largest sweet potatoes I have ever seen in my life. I was amazed. I had my kids out there and we were harvesting these sweet potatoes and she pulled out this one. We ended up weighing it. It was like 6 pounds, 15 ounces. Like I'm like, that was a baby that you just pulled out. It was incredible. And there were so many of them. Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah, this video right here. Yeah, and she pulled out multiples of these. Yeah, you can see they're like struggling to get it out because it was so huge. Look at that. It was so fun. There were so many of them in that, and this was in one of those smart pot long beds as well too. And there were just so many of these huge sweet potatoes. So it was the Carolina Jets. That's right, right? I'm pretty sure it was called
Georgia's Jets.
Georgia Jets. I knew it was a state with Jets. So I was close. So I recommend growing those because those ones did amazing. I didn't really even do much for them. I mean, I planted them in the smart pot and then we watered. And I mean, that was really the extent that we did. And they were just, yeah, they were amazing. Okay. Let's see. Carol says, how do you harden off tomatoes? So whenever I'm going through and hardening off any plants, so I'm going to need to be doing that for these here. I'll probably start this week. I take them out over the course of like a week or two. And you gradually want to increase the time that they are spending outside, increase their temperature, like their sun extent, like all of that. So on the first day, just take them out, give them just a little bit of sun. If it is, first of all, warm enough and it's not too windy and all that, you want to be real careful. But just try to baby them along and gradually increase their exposure to any elements that are outside until they are pretty much just living out there. So it usually takes about a week or two. Typically takes about a week or two. I'm pretty much for every plant that you're going to go through and harden off, I would recommend doing it over at least like a week. Just because, I mean, you have here where I am, I mean, the temperatures are so wonky. There's a lot of wind and all of that. So what is the best time to put out ladybugs? So we've done this before, a few times actually. It is so much fun. You can actually just buy ladybugs. I love it. But whenever you are releasing them, make sure you do it at nighttime or dusk time. To make sure that they don't go immediately just fly off. So whenever you're releasing them, make sure it's nighttime. Make sure you have water close by for them, and release them next to your aphids, wherever you have like an aphid problem or anything like that. And once they set up shop, like they will stay there, and then you will have ladybug babies there, and it'll be perfect. Okay, perfect. I don't know if I missed your question, I apologize. You can pop it back into the chat if I missed it. But we can go ahead and do a giveaway. Ready? Okay, cool. Okay, congratulations to Lewis Acre Farm Karma. Email us at info@seedtospoon.net and we will get you all hooked up with your free year app subscription. Yay! So congratulations. And remember too, if you all are out there and you want to win too, don't hesitate. Like after this ends, just go back in to the video and leave a comment again. So that way I can draw you next week, maybe. Fingers crossed. Oh, let me do this really quick. So what do you mean about hardening off? So it's fine. Yeah, I know for beginners, like, I'm sorry, I should have explained this a little bit better. So hardening off is the process of going through, like, so you have these baby plants that you have been babying indoors. They're not getting any sort of like exposure to the elements, so wind and things like that. So over the course of a week, you want to gradually just like get them used to the environment that they're going in and not just shock them. So that's why what it's called, by hardening them off. Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for joining. And like I said, don't forget to pop in and comment to be entered into win next week. Or if you're watching this after the fact, don't forget to be commenting. And I am here every week, same time, same place. So I hope that you all will join me again next week, where we'll be just hanging out, chatting all about gardening. So I'm looking forward to it. And if y'all aren't already following us, like on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, we're everywhere. So find us, and then we will, we'll hang out during the week too. See y'all next week. Thanks, everybody.